DreAllDay.com.
Dre Baldwin, DreAllDay.com. As promised, we are talking about the Western Conference playoffs. You already know how I like to do this. So we're going to start at the bottom of the West and talk about the trashy teams that did nothing. Then we're going to talk about the 4 teams that made the play-in game that are mediocre slash bummy teams in the play-in. And then we're going to talk about the teams that actually earned a traditional playoff spot, which used to be top 8, now is top 6. So let's start at the bottom. San Antonio Spurs. Nothing to say about them. I don't think I can name 3 players that are on the Spurs roster right now. They got Keldon Johnson, Tyus Jones, and can I name one more person? I cannot. So I don't even know who else is on the Spurs roster. But I can mention their coach, Greg Popovich. He did like a 10-minute rant talking about gun control and stuff. And I know this video is not about societal issues, but Greg Popovich brought this conversation to basketball. I didn't. He did. So let me address what Greg Popovich said. He was talking about how there need to be stronger gun control laws, and then he mocked whoever. I think he mentioned Ted Cruz. He mentioned Josh Hawley. He said, well, these people talk about having armed guards and armed security at schools, and he mocked that idea. I don't understand what the basis was of mocking that idea. If you have an armed security guard at the front door of a school, somebody with a gun can't just walk into school. I mean, I don't understand. How is that wrong? Even if you are a hard-leaning leftist Democrat, okay? How can you argue with the logic of putting an armed security guard at the front door of a school to keep someone with a gun from walking into school and shooting it up? You can't argue with that. Greg Popovich somehow tried to make some kind of argument against this, which makes no sense whatsoever. When Greg Popovich himself, the Spurs have armed security to work for them. They play in I believe the Spurs out what's the place called? The arena. It's called the SBC Center. I think that's what it's called. There's armed security in there. You go to an NBA basketball game, there's armed security everywhere. You got to walk through a metal detector to get in the damn building in any NBA game. There's armed security all over the arena, everywhere that the San Antonio Spurs go. And this guy is mocking having armed security. That makes no sense. And here's the part that most perplexed me is not what Greg Popovich said. Because listen, even if you think somebody's wrong, they have a right to their opinion. Greg Popovich has a right to his opinion for his 22-60 NBA team. But here's the part that's crazy. He made these statements and not one person in the room, he's talking to media, not one person in that room questioned anything that he said. They just sat there and accepted everything that he had to say. If you're a true journalist, you're going to question him. Even if you agree with him, you question his points and you play devil's advocate and find out how much substance does he actually have behind his point. If you really believe it, then you're willing to defend it. Nobody even challenged him. And this is the part that makes me disappointed, not in Greg Popovich or the NBA, but in journalism, is that journalism doesn't exist anymore in the way that we know it, because the journalists now, they basically, if you say something that they agree with, they just let you say it, even if it's nonsense. And if you say something that they disagree with, even if it's substantive, they will try to beat it down, even though you actually made a good point. This is why journalism is dying, and why people like myself and others in the internet space who are not working for a newspaper, and therefore we don't have an editor or a boss who tells us what we can say, what we can't say. We are actually the people, the voices that you need to go look for, not these people at the bought platforms like ESPN, all the major networks. You can't trust these people anymore because they're only doing what their bosses tell them to do, not anything that's actually going to give you real substance, because they're not doing actual journalism. Journalism questions everything. So just keep that in mind. Next time you hear some known person spew something into a room full of media people and nobody questions anything that they said, you shouldn't listen to what that person said simply because it wasn't challenged. Is somebody challenging the point? Anyway, so that's the most time we give to any bum team. That's the Spurs. Houston Rockets. All right, they got a lot of young talent, and they are hopefully on their way up. I saw this article that said, I didn't read it, but it was saying that Houston is done with the rebuilding. They're ready to actually go somewhere and do something. We'll see. They did fire their coach, or they didn't renew his contract, i.e. they fired him, Stephen Silas. Let's keep in mind that James Harden quit on Stephen Silas. Stephen Silas's first year as coach with Houston was the year that James Harden quit on the Rockets and demanded a trade to Brooklyn. Then he quit on the Brooklyn Nets and demanded a trade to the Sixers. And now he's on my hometown Sixers. Personally, I would like if we had a different person than James Harden. James Harden's a very good player, so I will give him credit for that. But James Harden started Stephen Silas's run in Houston by quitting on him, by the way, just for the record. Portland Trailblazers. They got Damian Lillard, who had a great season and was having one of his best seasons, actually, and they shut him down at the end of the year. Damian Lillard did not quit on the team. They shut him down. The team shut him down. So I understand it. The Blazers were close, but they ended up punting on actually making the play-in tournament. And I saw a statement from Dame that says he's not, looking to just get the young guy. He's looking to actually get somebody, some kind of veteran to help them move forward. What they need is a big guy. They need a front court guy, not a wing. So there are plenty of good wings in the NBA that the Blazers might be able to get. They need a big guy to match with Dame is what they need. They probably need a big guy and a wing if they're going to actually get into competing anytime soon. But I respect the fact that Dame has not run from the grind and actually stayed with the Blazers over the years, and he's doing his thing. So that's all we can say about Portland. Utah Jazz, they started the season actually very good. Early in the year, Utah was like at the top of the Western Conference, so they kind of fumbled over the last part of the season. Lauri Markkanen had a great year, made the All-Star game, but they are clearly in a rebuilding phase. They traded Donnie Mitchell, they traded Rudy Gobert, and they're hopefully on their way up as well, and they're probably looking towards getting a very good pick in the draft coming up. So we'll see what they do. Nothing else to say about them. Dallas Mavericks. Now, Dallas, their whole situation faltered when they lost Jalen Brunson. Now, some people were talking about the Jalen Brunson thing as if Dallas didn't want him back or they lowballed him. That didn't happen. Jalen Brunson knew he was leaving. His dad is affiliated with the Knicks. He has a relationship with the people in the front office with the Knicks. He knew he was going to the Knicks. He knew he was a free agent, unrestricted free agent. He knew he was leaving. There was nothing Dallas could do to keep him. And Mark Cuban even said, Jalen Brunson did not even give us a chance to offer him a contract. He wasn't coming back. It wasn't happening. So that's where things started to go south for Dallas because they lost a great player or at least Jalen Brunson looked at as very good. He's looked at as maybe close to the great now, but after last year, he was looked at as very good. He knew he was leaving. There was nothing that Dallas could do. They couldn't keep him. He knew he was leaving. So Dallas was undermanned this season, and they really need help in the front court, not just the back court, because they got Luka. Obviously, Luka's a stud. So Dallas was having a not too good season, a very mediocre or worse season. Then they made this panic trade for Kyrie Irving in the middle of the year. They shouldn't have traded for Kyrie Irving. There's nothing wrong with Kyrie Irving. Kyrie Irving is a great player, but Kyrie is not the kind of guy you pair with another guard who is going to dominate the ball. Kyrie's the kind of guy you pair with a big who can dominate in the paint, like a Joel Embiid, Giannis Antetokounmpo type of guy, or you pair with a wing who is ball dominant but can play off the ball if necessary, i.e. LeBron James. Kyrie Irving is the perfect guard to pair with LeBron James. He can shoot, he can handle it, and he can take over offensively for stretches of the game. And LeBron can kind of cover him for him defensively when necessary. That's the kind of guy you pair with Kyrie. You don't pair Kyrie with a ball dominant. It's like you wouldn't put Kyrie on the same team as James Harden. That would work if you have a Kevin Durant. Now, they had Kevin Durant, so it worked. But you don't put Kyrie on the same team as Russell Westbrook. You don't put Kyrie on the same team as Paul George. That doesn't work. You got to put him with the right kind of guard or the right kind of wing. Not even guard. You put Kyrie with a wing or a big. So they traded for Kyrie knowing that they already had Luka. I'm like, do they have a – they need some of these teams need a VP of common sense. Because I would have said, all right, I like Kyrie, but not with Luka. That's not the right pairing. You don't trade for Kyrie Irving. You trade for a big or a wing who doesn't need the ball. Luka Doncic has the ball all game. Luka doesn't play off the ball. So what is Luka doing when Kyrie has the ball? Standing there. All right. So that doesn't make sense. That's not the right matchup. So that was a bad idea by Dallas to even make that trade. Then they traded away Spencer Dinwiddie, which was some guard depth, and they traded away Dorian Finney-Smith, which was wing depth. They traded their depth in order to get Kyrie Irving, and then it ended up not being good anyway. Well, who could have predicted that? They didn't have good defense. They're a sieve in the backcourt because Kyrie and Luka are both weak on defense. Neither one of them gives much effort on defense, let's be honest. They lost their wing, DFS, who was a good defender, and that was it. That was pretty much it for Dallas. I mean, this is the NBA. So this is Dallas. That was just a bad move. So Mark Cuban had to have okayed that. That's a bad mark on Mark Cuban. This was just a bad idea. And now they're in a position where Luka's saying all the right things, but who knows? If they don't get better and they don't have too many routes to actually get better, let's say maybe they get lucky in the draft. Maybe they get Wemby in the number one pick. But they're in trouble. Dallas is in trouble because they need to figure out routes to actually get better. They signed who'd they have? They picked up JaVale McGee. What is that going to do? He barely played. They picked up Christian Wood, who can score offensively, but he's not a good defender. Luka's not a good defender. They traded away their best defender, Dorian Finney-Smith. They traded away all their defense and wonder why they can't stop anybody and why they can't win games. It makes perfect sense if they had a vice president of common sense who would have told them that. So, all right, let's get to the teams that made the play-in, 7 through 10 teams. Oklahoma City is going to play New Orleans in a 9-10 game. I don't know who's going to win this game. Oklahoma City has this hodgepodge of young, good players. They got Chet Holmgren, who missed this whole season. Don't forget about him. So I think OKC is absolutely a top 6 team next year because they won 40 games this year, which is amazing given that their number 2 pick, was he number 2 pick? Number 2 pick in the draft, got injured and missed the whole year, and they still won 40 games. So put him in there. And let's say he's good for 2 or 3 wins. They got Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who is I don't know. Is he better than Paul George right now? Remember they traded Shea amongst a bunch of other stuff just to get Paul George and also to get Kawhi, to be honest, to be fair, rather. OKC is a top 6 team next year. So if I was a betting man, if I could make futures bets and I could bet in the state of Florida, I would bet on OKC making the playoffs next year as a top 6 team. So any of you want to make a futures bet on that. If I'm wrong, you get your money back. The money that you put on me, not the money you put on the bet. So anyway, OKC, they're going to be very good next year. Now, are they going to win this game? I'm not sure. This is going to be actually a very good game. This is a game that I would actually watch. New Orleans Pelicans, Zion Williamson. All right, is he going to actually play? Zion Williamson is like the injury. He's like the physical injury version of Ben Simmons. All right, so Ben Simmons, his whole stuff is mental. His stuff is from the neck up. Ben Simmons quit mentally. Zion Williamson, it seems like his body quit physically. He quit from the neck down. So what the hell is going on with Zion Williamson? I mean, he's a great player when he plays. When he plays, Zion Williamson is like an all-star top 10 player in the NBA. Damn near unstoppable. Can't shoot. Always going to his left, but nobody can stop him. But he doesn't play. He's always injured. He doesn't seem to be in good shape. He doesn't seem to be that focused on getting in good shape. And he ain't played in a long time. He got a hamstring injury. I got a hamstring injury right now. Now, I ain't Zion Williamson. I don't jump size the guy, but hamstring, and you're playing in the NBA, you got access to all that treatment. You're looking at maybe 3 weeks. Maybe 3 weeks. Unless you tear your hamstring, that might be the season. But he had a hamstring strain. That's like 3 weeks. Hamstring injury is like 3 weeks. This dude missed 3 months. What the hell is going on? So that's a little, that has some of that is on him. That ain't all just his body. That ain't all just the severity of the injury. Something's on him when it comes to Zion Williamson. He plays New Orleans, a playoff team. The West has a lot of very solid teams. Now, who's going to win that game? If I had to pick, I'm going to go with OKC. Even though they're on the road in New Orleans, I'm going to go with OKC. I think the best player on the court in that game is going to be SGA, and I think they will win that game. I might be wrong, but I think they'll win. Then they'll get to play for the 8 seed against the loser of the Lakers-Minnesota game. Now, I know the Lakers have a ton of fans. The Lakers are the biggest news story in basketball, even when they're not that good. This year, they were mediocre. They had several injuries, and they had the wrong roster, but they were able to fix that up, got rid of Russ, put some other guys in there. Russ was not the right fit for them. I actually like watching Russ play, but not with LeBron James. It's a bad mix. It should have been Kyrie instead of Russell. Russell Westbrook would have been perfect for the Lakers. They would have won 50 games. They had that right backcourt, right guard from the start. But anyway, everybody wants to see the Lakers do what the Lakers do. If they win this game, which if I had to make a pick, Now, Minnesota, they're not going to have Gobert because Gobert socked Kyle Anderson. So he's not going to play. I actually think Minnesota plays better without Gobert, at least in this one game, because Karl Anthony Towns can do Karl Anthony Towns things. He doesn't really play defense. Him against Anthony Davis, but the dude can shoot the lights out. He can score from the outside, and he can play some defense on the inside. I think this is going to be actually a very good game. Both of these West playing games will be very good, whereas the East playing games will suck. I think the Lakers will win because it's a home game. I got to go with the best player on the court, which is going to be Anthony Davis and LeBron James. They're the two best players on the court. Anthony Edwards is on his way, but he ain't better than Anthony Davis or LeBron James, at least not yet. So I'm going to go with the Lakers to win this game, especially at home. And it'll be amazing and very fun to see the Lakers against the Memphis Grizzlies, because we all remember that whole Shannon Sharp incident with the Lakers when they were playing at home against Memphis. And that'll be a great series to see that, especially since Memphis will be the home seed, a higher seed, and thusly odds on expected to win. That'd be a great series to see. So I want the Lakers to win this game so that they can play Memphis in the first round. And then that last playing game, Minnesota, New Orleans, OKC. I think Minnesota will make the 8 seed. I think they'll get it. I think Anthony Edwards will do what he needs to do. Karl Anthony Towns and Gobert, they have to play another game. He'll be back, and they'll be playing for that 8 seed for the chance to play Denver. I think Minnesota does make it. So I say Lakers, Minnesota get the 7 and 8 seeds officially. Now, moving into the teams that earn the now traditional playoff berths, we got Phoenix against the Clippers. That's going to be a bloodbath in the first round, because both of those teams are teams that you could realistically say have championship expectations. So Kawhi against Kevin Durant, that will be a beautiful matchup to watch. I would love seeing that. Then you got the Russell Westbrook factor. Whatever he does, he's always a factor, good or bad. Paul George is still injured, so I think Paul George is not going to be playing in this series. You got Devin Booker, Chris Paul. I think Phoenix is a stronger team here, especially the Clippers without Paul George. Kawhi is going to have his say, and Russell's going to do something. But I think Phoenix is a stronger team with Kevin Durant. I'm going to go with Phoenix winning this series. I say this goes 6-6. Yeah, without Paul George, I say Phoenix in 6, 4 games to 2. The 3-6 matchup, you got the Golden State Warriors at the Sacramento Kings. The Kings got the home court. 4 games better than the Warriors this season. The Warriors probably think they can beat the Kings. They're probably happy that they get to face the Kings in the first round. This is going to be a hell of a series because the Kings are the up-and-coming young guns trying to prove that they belong. And the Warriors, we know who the Warriors are. Right? We know who the Warriors are and what they've done. And allegedly, Andrew Wiggins is going to play. So the Warriors are going to be at full strength. If I had to bet on this, I would love to see the Kings win. But if I had to bet on it, I got to go with the Warriors. I got to go with the Warriors if I had to bet on this. The Warriors will win this series. They got the best player, Steph Curry. The second best player would be, who's the second best player in this series? Is it Klay Thompson, Draymond Green, or is it De'Aaron Fox, Sabonis? Actually, Sabonis is probably the second best player in the series. Third best would be, I don't know, it's a toss-up between Klay, De'Aaron Fox, Draymond Green, Andrew Wiggins. But the Warriors just have more firepower. They got championship experience. The Kings, this team has not even been in the playoffs, this group. So it's going to be a good series. I think the Kings will put up a hell of a fight. If I had to bet, I would say this goes 6, but I'd be happy to see it go 7. Game 7 in Sacramento. Warriors at Sacramento, Game 7 the first round, and the Cowbells. That'd be great to see. But I'm going to go with the Warriors. If I had to bet on it, I'd go with the Warriors. Now, if I had to just go for fun, I'd pick the Kings. But if I had to bet, I'm going to go with the Warriors. All right, the number 2-7 matchup. Memphis against the Lakers, assuming that the Lakers make it to the 7th seed and win the play-in game. If I had to bet on this one, Now, Memphis is missing Steven Adams, and I think it was somebody else they missed. And the Lakers, at their full strength, playoff mode, I don't know, man. LeBron been talking that playoff mode stuff too many times and then end up not doing nothing. So that playoff mode thing doesn't really mean anything. Anthony Davis, as long as he's healthy, is great. Memphis has a chip on their shoulder. They went to, where were they at last year? Conference finals or second round? I can't remember. Last year was Dallas against, who went to the finals last year? It was the Warriors, right? So it was Dallas against the Warriors last year in the conference finals. So Memphis made the second round. I think Memphis has something to prove, especially if they play the Lakers. This will be a hell of a series. And they're home seed. I'm going to say Memphis in 7. I say if Memphis plays the Lakers, it will go 7. Game 7 in Memphis. I say Memphis wins this series. I'm going to stick my neck out on that one. That's the toughest call. I'm going to go with Memphis on that to beat the Lakers in the first round. And then you got Denver against either Minnesota, New Orleans, or OKC. And Jokic is the guy. They have a great team, best team in the West, easily. I'm going to go with Denver in that one. I say Denver wins that. And I don't know how much of a killer instinct Denver has. I know what Jokic can do, but the rest of the guys on that team, I'm going to say Denver in 6. I say this goes 6. Should be 5 if Denver was actually that strong, but I don't think they're that strong. I think Jokic is that good. The rest of the team, I'm not sure how much of a killer instinct they have. So I'm going to say Denver in 6 in the first round. So those are my first round Western Conference picks. Denver in 6, Memphis in 7, Warriors in 7, and Phoenix in 6. So there it is, everybody. Y'all let me know what y'all think down in the comments. I'm putting these videos out today. Work on your game. Dre all day.